Start recording and share my screen again. Why is it not sharing the screen? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you see the full screen? Yeah. Oh. How do I minimize this? Yeah. Huh. Okay. So one example that I can give you is people who get asthmatic attacks. Now, these people are very fine in summer. They have no problem in winter. Okay, but the moment the clouds come, okay, the kind of that depressing light, okay, there is no light outside and the air feels heavy because there's too much of humidity there. Okay, that time many people have these asthma attacks. Okay, so that is only seasonal, and that's your sad part of being sad. Okay, so seasonal affective disorder, it definitely impacts your performance and productivity. Now, for example, if I give example of our own school, most of the time, if the day you shift your class, people will scamper first and take the window seats. Okay, because I get nice light there. I can watch out, especially in third year studio. When you look out, or even in the first year studio, when you look out, you can see that amazing garden there, and plus the light. So it's a nice way to work your design. Na? So yes, it definitely helps performance and productivity. Definitely, if I have daylight, I'll not put on lights, and I can save energy. And if I save energy, it is definitely having more environmental benefits. So these are the some of the impacts of daylight, and there are many more. Okay, I'm just giving you this very this thing. If you take medical and daylight, there is one whole chapter on it. So I'm not really going into that, but understand, as an architect, it's your job to give good daylight. And how do you get that in? What are the parameters that influence daylight performance? So what is it that I can depend on to get me a good daylight? Definitely first is the climate. Say you are designing in Rajasthan and you are designing in, say, Leh. And third is you are designing in, where will I say, uh, some other region, say Bangalore. Huh? How would you then design for Bangalore? How would you design for Leh? And how would you design for Rajasthan? Or I would say Jaipur. The three places are very different. Okay, complete different climate. You will need to take into the consideration what are the daytime or the solar hours that is possible. Okay, first is that. The second is, what is the kind of light quality that you are getting? Is it a very cloudy region, or is it a very, so if you say Assam, if you see starts clouding, not only for the months of monsoon, but it also clouds 1 month aage and 1 month piche. So it's like cloudy for a longer region. So you need to take into account that. So there are lots of these parameters of climate that you need to take into account when you talk about climate. Then your latitude. If you are on equatorial latitude, 0, okay, then how will be the light? Or if you are at, say, near polar region, how will be the light? So imagine people designing lighting in Norway and people designing in, say, Egypt. Hmm? Complete two different ways. Huh? Egypt is hot, very sunny, throughout sunny. Okay, maximum light. Kabhi light jata nahi hai. Okay, solar is there, permanent. Whether it is Dakshinayan or Uttarayan, doesn't matter. Egypt gets its sun. Not so in Norway. Norway has, Finland has, and these are the places where they have 6 months daylight and 6 months nighttime. Can you imagine their circadian rhythms? I don't know, but they are used to it now. So their body is functioning according to that. So out there, there comes a day when there is no night. Absolutely. There is no night. Hmm? But there comes a day when there is only night. There is no day. So you have this kind of a scenario on earth. So you need to know where, of course, this is very micro I'm talking about. And then definitely when you come to your site level, you need to then figure out, ye to micro hai. How do I take care of that micro problem with my micro design? That's where microclimate is so important. And how do you tackle that? Then, of course, you need to talk about obstructions and reflections on site. So, as Kimaya said in her lecture last time, yesterday, in fact, okay, if you have tall buildings around you, then you need to take that into consideration whether they are casting shadows on your site. And if they are casting shadows, then how do you orient your building? So then you need to first do the survey of that entire thing. So please remember all this when you do your thesis, okay? Because I will have to again otherwise repeat there, which I'm anyway going to, but I'm just saying that should be your revision and not like first time information. But all these kind of surveys needs to go before you even approach your site as a design. It's a different thing that you guys don't have a time to do all that in ideas, but in thesis you will have plenty of time. So please adopt all these kind of strategy to design. Okay. Then of course you have building design. How do you mass it? How deep is your building? How shallow is your building? Is it on a stilt or is it underground? So it depends how you design. Material properties, very well Ankush explained last time that if you use shiny material, kaise hoga, matte material hoga to kaise hoga. Is the material, well, material doesn't have anything to do with absorption of light, but suppose if I'm using a very grayish kind of a material, or even if I throw light on it, it's kind of ऐसा लगता है जैसे वो खा रहा है light को. So you get that kind of effect. Doesn't happen, but I'm just saying. Then you have windows, that is fenestration and skylights. How do you design your entire system so that I can get light inside? So of course orientation matters, glazing dimension matters. What is the proportion of your glazing versus your wall? If the ratio is high, that means my glazing is more. Okay, that means I will have better light. If it is less, I will have better lesser light. Glazing transmittance, how sometimes you have, so this is how do I say this, basically able to transmit the light. Probably I will not have the windows, but I'm still getting the daylight. Okay, so I'll show you. The sun tunnel is the next thing that I'm talking about. Okay, so those are the transmitters. Basically it allows the light to come in. Shading, well, definitely if you have very big shading, like a huge shading, obviously the light is going to reduce because shading is not going to allow light to come in. So then how do you design your landscape? So if you then, I would design a particular patch of a hard landscape where the light hits, where I'll give probably a China mosaic kind of a layer, because I also want, if it is near my building, that the water should not be going inside. So I'll put a small patch as a landscape design and allow that reflecting light to come inside my building if my overhangs are large. Okay. The other kind of parameters that influence are when my windows are not possible or my skylights are not possible. In such a scenario, I use something called as light. Uh, I would say the term as features of getting light inside my building. So sun tunnel is just one. So you see in the diagram, so how the light reflects. So the entire interior जो है तुम्हारा pipe का is fitted with glazed mirrors. Okay, or rather, yeah, they are like reflecting mirrors, not glazed mirror. It's fitted with mirrors. So when the light hits, it's like it just reflects and creates a big light when it comes finally inside. And I'll show you the detailed plan later on. So these are the things that one needs to take care when I'm talking about sun tunnels. They are also known as sun tubes. Okay, and there are a lot of other names essentially showing the same diagram. So length and configuration, dimensions, diffuser, transmittance, how does it, so obviously when it hits the mirror over a period of time, उसपे कचरा जमता है, maybe it gets a little less reflective. So obviously it will affect all that. So yeah. So daylight with roof and the window. So you see the window ka effect, okay, and you see the daylight ka effect, also the roof light ka effect. So if in this case, you see this is probably an attic window where the wall, if you see that I'm talking about the middle one, please see my cursor. The middle wall is very small, but the roof is taken up like this and it is at an angle. So it is not even completely square roof pe unhone dala hai, but where the roof is sloping, like you might have a attic window there. Okay, in such a scenario, look at the way the light condition happens within the room or when it is only the window. So these are the ways you can get the light in. Look at the way the windows are designed in this building. all the windows are different. Okay, probably with each kind of room they might want to have a different kind of light, but this is how also you get an elevation, na? Which is so not boring, like you have an elevation of a Mada building. Irrespective whether it's a living room or a bedroom, it has the same size of window. And this is the daylight factor, which is very important. And I'm not sure you did this in your second year, neither you did it in first year. So I'm just going to cover it because we are doing lighting. So in architecture, a daylight factor, we call it as DF, is the ratio of the light level inside a structure to the light level outside the structure. Simple, EI upon EO. I stands for inside, O stands for outside, into 100%. So I get percentage. Okay. So DF is nothing, but the formula is very simple. EI upon EO, inside upon outside into 100%. And I get my DF factor, daylight factor. To calculate EI, so you just see this diagram, okay? Focus on the red light. Red light is my sky component. That means the light which is able to come directly through my window onto the surface of the interior of my room. That is my sky component, which is called as SC, sky component. So that is the red light that is coming in. That is my first intake of, characteristic of DF. The second way my light can enter inside the room is the externally reflected component. So if you see the green light, okay, the green light is coming here, hitting the surface of the building, which is right in front of my window, and then coming inside my room. Do you see the green arrows that is coming in? That is my ERC, externally reflected component of the light. Then I have IRC, internally reflected component. That means the light is hitting somewhere around the ground, and from there it is coming in and coming here. Okay. Now, this internally reflected component means anything that comes reflected from within. Ab wo light, if it comes, reflects here, but is not able to come inside directly, but it comes to the ceiling and then gets reflected, that is also fine. So basically, you have this three component which constitute my EI. Okay, that's how I calculate my EI. Okay. So direct light from the patch of sky visible, light reflected from exterior, and light entering from the window. So my EI is equal to SC plus ERC plus IRC. Okay. Upon EO into 100 is my DF. Now coming to that thing I was talking about, illuminance and luminance. So illuminance is the measure of the amount of light received on the surface. अभी आप बोलोगे कि यार मैं ये सब करके क्या फायदा? Because you need to know what lux you are going to give. This is done in the, so इसका factor है lux. It is expressed in lux, and that is what an architect needs to know. When you buy a lamp from the market, you will have the lux factor there. Okay, so you will know the luminance it is going to provide you on your desk, right? So you will choose your light according to this. So obviously, guys, यहाँ पे थोड़ा सोचो. When I buy a bulb with or a light with a high lux, that means I'm going to reduce the number of lights because I'm getting good light lux. But if I buy a light with a lesser lux, I will have number increased, number of switches increase, number of wiring increase. That's the importance of lux. Illuminance is the measure of the amount of light received on the surface. It is typically expressed in lux, LM upon meter square. That is, LM is your illuminance upon, per meter square. Now, it is measured with a lux meter or predicted through a use of a computer simulation. Okay, I'm not going into all this, but these are some of the things which Kimaya taught you in design, क्या था वो designer, क्या था builder, design builder. ऐसे ही कुछ था ना when you did your EVS. So in that we did talk about daylight and how you can simulate daylight through the glazing. What happens if you give double glazing? What if you provide a film on the window? What if you give a shade of the window? And how the daylight factor. So all that computer simulation can happen, which I'm sure even Ankush is very good at. He will probably tell you more at the end of the lecture. If you are interested, you can contact him. computer simulation with recognized and validated software. Okay, so this is the diagram for illuminance, means the light on my work surface. Remember this, and you automatically, you don't need to remember any kind of definition. This is very self-explanatory. Okay, and this is the lux meter. Kimaya will be showing you this in the final year, when we generally EVS is taken by both of us. So in the EVS, we will be telling you how do you do the measuring of light. So nowadays, I think even an app is available on your mobile, where you can say that you can take your mobile with that app on, and you can actually measure what is the illuminance level there. And then you can say कि okay, यहाँ पे level अच्छा है, तो यहाँ पे मैं drafting का table लगा सकता हूँ. So that is something you can arrive at instantly. Luminance is exactly opposite of illuminance. So luminance is a measure of the amount of light reflected or emitted from a surface. यहाँ पे the diagram will be ulta. Okay, it is how much the light is reflected from the surface. Okay, so this is luminance. So luminance helps me in giving me a diffusion of light. We talked about diffusion of sound. Luminance is nothing but diffusion of light. How does a surface reflects one second, it's calling a message. Okay, so right, so that is my luminance. Okay, and this is how you measure it. You have luminance meter, which kind of tells you when you take it in front of a surface, और आप उसको जब when you aim there, it tells you कि इसका reflectance कितना है. Higher means it is able to, that means it's glossy and it's able to reflect higher amount of light. So that is how you need to know this. So all the designers will have these kind of instruments when they design things, because they will know what is doing where. I mean, which product is going to function in which space in a particular manner. Okay, so we are coming to end of the daylight. Okay, these are some of the diagrams that will help you to get daylights in. So this is daylight. You can have it from the roof. इसमें problem ये है, if you don't have the control of the roof line, you are in for a major problem, because the heat, the light, you don't want the light all time. Sometimes you don't want the light. You want to sleep in the afternoon. You would want it to be shut. So then, yes, if you don't have a control, a problem. Okay. The second, this thing, okay, is when I don't have it right at the top, but I have it on the side. Okay, like an attic or a dormer window where it allows from the side. इसमें क्या होता है, a part of the room can be completely without light. Can you see my cursor going around? Okay, so this part of my room is completely, or I will have reflected light coming there. So these are the various ways I can design my structure to get or optimize daylight coming in. फिर तीसरे ने सोचा, okay, I don't want this kind of zigzag, it's not giving me any free flowing idea. So he just did one sweeping roof up, okay, and increase the daylight coming inside. So he not only has direct sky component, but also has IRC coming in. Okay, so that's the third diagram that is happening. The fourth diagram in the row, I mean in the column below, is you are having daylight from either side. So also in the east and also in the west. Okay, you can have north light also, you can have south light also, depending how you are orienting the building. So this is another way of utilizing. So these are the forms I am trying to show you, or the strategies in which the daylight can be taken in. This is again the chhaja. I need to allow, so, but you see the effect of chhaja. So if this was not there, my light could come all the way in. And you see the arrow that is coming, just follow the arrow. It can come all the way in and my entire room can be lighted. But it also gets me heat. So unless I don't put a double glazed window here, my room is going to get a lot of heat. So yeah, you need to think of all those factors when you think of shading your windows and all. Again, how do you do this? So now I don't put the overhang right at the slab level. I take it down. So immediately the light ka thoda level बढ़ता है, not much. But if you see the previous slide figure and this figure, you will see. And then I'm talking about something called as light shelf, where I'll show you the picture also of how the room can look lighted up. So what happens here, which I think even Kimaya showed yesterday, in that dormitory, that Sikmol school mein, where they are using light shelf. So in this, what they do is this awning is kept here, or this kind of material which is reflecting on the top. They either color it with glossy white paint, or they actually put mirrors there. Mirrors can be a little difficult because the light can also go out. Okay, if the sun is having a particular angle, then it becomes difficult. People outside also will get affected, or if people are staying somewhere on the top side samne, so they can get affected. So generally it is colored very white and having a glossy paint, so that when the light falls on it, it goes inside and I get complete lighted interiors. Now, these are the ways you can get light when my buildings are deep. Some very unusual way of doing it, but yes, people are actually devising these systems. So as I showed you previous, that pipe where you have the solar light coming in, okay, and you have these tubes. They are made up of glass within inside, but it is having a reflective glass. So so basically, when the light comes in, if you see the arrows that is there, white light, it reflects, and in the end, you get a lovely light inside. So it looks as if you are sitting in a daylighted, but आपको एक भी window नहीं है. The only scope is through the roof light. So this happens when the buildings are very deep. Okay, actually, literally, I'm not talking deep structure from TOD point of view. Okay, that is totally different meaning. So please don't get confused. I am literally saying deep. Okay, when the depth of the building is big and the light cannot go in the interior, these are some of the methods I can say. Then the next question you will probably have in your mind is, what if my building is multi-storied? If it is G+7, can I still use the same? Of course you can use the same. Of course the diameter will have to be bigger. You will have to figure out what is the daylight component you require within your rooms. Okay, and so the next one shows you that. The next one is actually, okay, so do you see the picture at the below where it is the collector which redirects the collected light onto a sunlight concentrator. Basically, it collects the light and push it onto a concentrator. Basically, concentrator is nothing but a big, huge reflecting mirror, which is what solar cooker is having, okay? Which channels it into the aperture of a small pipe. And I'll show you how it looks. The small pipe is something like this only, okay? So did you get how this function happens? Obviously, the light happening at the basement level will have to be, it won't be the same as light happening at the top floor level. And that's why you need to design this pipe. It's a big complicated calculation that one needs to do. As I again say repeatedly, architects don't do this. We have people who does this for us. But our job is to tell our clients that these are the ways you can save on electricity big time. And this is the light shelf I was talking about. You can have internal light shelf as it shows in the big picture, as well as you can have external light shelf. Both light shelves work perfectly fine. It depends on how you wish to design and what is your other climatic features that one needs to take care into. So this is how the thing functions. Okay, so basically light comes in here, but if you see, this goes here and the light is able to go even inside. So this is how my light shelf works. Till now everything is clear. So we said there are two kinds of light. One is the daylight and one is the artificial light. So daylight, we covered everything. Is there any question that you wish to ask before I go to the artificial light and the kinds of lighting systems in there? Any questions? This was easy enough, but still, if you have any questions, please say yes, no. Okay, so I assume you don't have questions. Coming to the artificial, I changed, but I don't see, yeah. Coming to the different terms of light that you will now come into the interior when I'm speaking about artificial light is ambient light. What do you mean by ambient light? It is something which is kind of everywhere. General lighting is the other name for ambient light. So normally occurring in the environment where the shot is being made. Okay, this is also speaking from the photography point of view. This would include overhead lights in stores and offices. It is distinguished from the light, brought in compared to the natural light. Sorry, no, this sentence should not have been there. It's only for photography. Okay, arc light, extremely bright instruments in which the light is created by an electrical arc between electrodes. We generally use this kind of systems in photography labs, in studios, where you need to have a special effects of light. So if you go for all these movie theater kind of thing, there probably arc lights are used. Okay, these are specialized lights. You will not come across them in warehouses, industries, unless industry is having some kind of this kind of instrument manufacturing, then it's a different case. Stray light is anything that is coming and disturbing the other people. So if you are, say, aap AV room mein baithe ho, and suddenly the door opens, that is called straying of light, which is coming from the lobby inside your room. Okay, or the room in the door which is planned for AV room, instead of it being a panel door, it is made up as a panel having a glass in it. So it allows all the light to come in, which is kind of affecting the screen on which I'm throwing my picture. So that is a stray light, and I don't like it. So stray light is the light that comes where it is, or the other word is the trespass, light trespass. Okay, light falling where it is not wanted or needed. Spill light, stray light. Floodlight, we all know, kind of floods the entire area. Generally, floodlights are used in sports stadium, in I would say even in auditoriums where I need to flood the entire stage. Okay, so that is a floodlight. Of course, the level will be lesser than what you have in the stadium. You will have floodlights generally where I can say in all these open party halls where marriages and everything are concerned. So at some point of time, you will have this uh, floodlights where it will kind of flood. I'll have it later. Yeah, sorry. Where कहाँ पे थी मैं? Yeah, where it kind of floods the entire. So basically, floodlights are used for various purposes. Accent lighting is to draw special attention or attention to special object or a building. And task lighting is basically focusing on just my surface or specific purpose or task. Okay. So different terms of light trespass is this. So do you see a person sleeping on this second beach wala ghar mein? Okay, just see this. And बाजू में पीछे से you are getting a light from a street light. That's a trespass because the light is directly falling on the bed when that person is sleeping at night time, and that is a problem. Now, tress light or light tressing, which happens during the day, all is then we call that as a glare. Okay, but at night time it is called as a trespass of the light. And another example is showing is the glare zone, light trespass. So imagine this guy trying to sleep here, and this thing is just focusing it. So unless he doesn't have a curtain, his sleep is doomed. Okay, you have a direct light which a person is standing and looking up at the lamp, and the other one is the useful light where you have you are under it and it does not fall within the range of your eye, so you don't get the glare. So remember I talked about disability glare. This is that direct glare. Okay, these are the task lights. Okay, where it basically focuses on my work surface. Okay, it could be a drafting, it could be a wash basin, it could be anything. Now, wash basin generally has a mirror, and we generally have this because in certain these kind of, say this is a 5-star, a lady might want to put on her makeup and she needs to know what kind of shade it is there. Otherwise, when she comes out, she might look like a clown. So that CRI has to be very good. The light temperature has to be very good. Okay, so that she can see the exact color of the makeup. So that's the reason why task lights are done. Okay, these are kind of again ambient lights, kind of trying to feature. So if I have some nice feature here on the side, I can just focus on that. It does not focus on the bed. But I hate these kind of lights because if a person is lying, it's like kind right in your eye. So there are better way of doing ambient light, not this. So this is the general light. Okay. Okay, so accent light and ambient light, don't get confused. Accent means it's accenting something. Ambient means general, generic, everywhere. Okay, it kind of, so see this atmosphere in a church where I don't want light to be focused somewhere unless it's everything is cool and only the altar where you have this kind of a specific light, kind of giving that spirituality or giving this kind of aura, then it's a lighting design. But otherwise, it's all same. Okay, task lighting. Generally, kitchens will have lights like this so that the focus is only on the platform and not on my eye. Okay, some people prefer it, some people don't prefer it, because kitchen is one thing where work happens at every level. Okay, when I open the fridge door, I might something falls down, and light might not filter enough for to see what is gone down. Okay, and at later ages of stages of life, you will not see any which way. So you need to be little bit very, I would say, sensitive to for whom you are designing. And in a lot many way, the task lighting can be done. So यहाँ पे भी in the top picture also, if you see the cursor, you see that the kitchen is also having a kind of a task lighting, but the task light also happens at the dining table. Okay, this creates also a kind of a very cozy setting where people are having lunch or dinner together, and the light is there and it's focusing on the food. Okay, so yeah, so it can be provided by recessed and track lighting, pendant lighting, under cabinet lighting, portable floor and a desk lamps. These are the various ways I can do my task light or localized light. The another word is localized light, where it localizes only that particular surface. Now, task lighting should be free of distracting glare. Now, as I said in that ambient wala, if I'm sleeping and I see those two lamps up, it's kind of distraction. Okay, even if the lights are not there, it ऐसा वो तलवार लटकती है वैसा दिखेगा मुझे. So it's basically a bad design if you go to see. And similarly for the task, so the way you put your lamp, sometimes the lamp ka shade and your eye is at the same level, and believe me guys, it's so irritating. With a little lift of the eyelids and that light just kind of hits you, even if it is having a lamp shade on it. So how do you place your lamp is very important. So task light has those kind of sensitiveness that one needs to have to design. Accent lighting, I explained, but once again with the picture. So you see accenting these pictures. Okay, series of, so gallery mein you have this kind of museum, you have this. Okay, so accent is one thing. Accent mein you will have wall grazers, you will have wall washers, you will have downlighters, you will have uplifters. All come under accent, under a big umbrella of accent, because you are basically highlighting something. Accent means directional light or highlighting something. So if you want to feature on some design element, go for accent lighting. Focus attention. Okay, it adds drama. Okay, to be effective, agar, if suppose it's a museum, I'm entering a museum, and museum has a quality of its own. Na? So if the lighting is only said, okay, I want people to only see the picture and not see the people. So that's not the right way of doing it, because one thing you have to be aware of, as I said, there are psychological effects of lighting. Guys, if I'm overriding, no, it's only 3. Okay, so we have time. So I also want people to see people, na? Because I'll tell you one thing very clearly. When people go to these art galleries, when they go to these kind of this thing, generally you will see people take an effort to mingle. Okay, people take an effort to dress up. Okay, people take effort to groom themselves. I don't know why this psychology is there. Okay, but you will see this happening in theaters, you will see this happening in movies, you will see this happening in art galleries. Okay, so obviously the focus should also be people as well, because they need to mingle with each other, they need to talk with each other. The artist is there and he's trying to talk to some group of people, and what if there is no enough light where I can't see their faces or their expression? So yes, so if I'm only saying that I want only accent lighting, then to be it effective, I will have to increase accent lighting 3 times more. So that is not a good idea. So